to another turbocamaro.ca video. Today we're going to be doing a port job and lump kit install on a Chevy Inline-6 250 head. I've got the head here in front of me. Just a little bit of background here. This head is the stock head out of Turbo Camaro. It has 3 intake ports. Each intake port was designed with a boss for the bolt to go through. It's right through the center of the intake port, and as you can see, it blocks probably about 40% or so of the intake flow. So ideally not good for sort of a performance build. So we're going to be removing that bolt boss, and then we're going to be installing a lump kit. I'm going to go through the step-by-step process, but I want to cover some of the information at the beginning here. So we're going to remove that bolt boss, and then we're installing the lump kit. Lump kit is from a brand called High Flow, and they're bought off of 12bolt.com. You could probably get them maybe from some other suppliers, but I think they originate from 12bolt.com. They essentially go in place of the bolt boss and sort of change the directionality of the airflow, which is more ideal for better combustion flow. So there's the 3 of these, of course, and it comes in a kit with other bolts and whatnot. It's going to come with new shorter head bolts that are actually going to end up sitting lower in the intake port, and it comes with a plug which is going to plug the top, because normally the head bolt would be sitting up there. And then of course it comes with a little screw that allows you to sort of fasten the lump into the port. In order to do this, you're going to require some sort of a cutting tool. You could use a small rotary tool. In this case I have a DeWalt Sawzall, just with a bimetal blade. And then in order to do the drilling, you're going to need a 2532 mill bit, or essentially the same size but in just a regular flat-ended bit, and you're going to basically be drilling down through the original head bolt location, and you're going to be flattening out the bottom for the new head bolt. And then once you're done with all that process, of course, you're going to be using a 1/2-inch pipe tap, and you're going to be essentially putting threads in the top here for the new plug. Sounds a bit rushed, but I'll go through it as we go and you'll be able to see how it's done. You will also end up requiring a few normal sized, just regular screw taps. I think it's a number 8 tap to be able to fasten the screw into the lump. So first step is going to be to cut away the bolt boss. You're going to take the rotary tool or Sawzall, and you're going to cut along the bottom leading edge of the intake port to cut away the bottom of it, and then the top. The trick here is to try to stay somewhat smooth with the intake port. You don't want to be kind of angling down or even high up, because you're going to end up gouging the material behind all of this, and there is a fair amount of the valve guides are back there and whatnot, and you don't want to be gouging them all up. So once you're done with that, it's going to look something like this. You're going to end up with a piece of this removed, and you're going to have a relatively smooth area here. You can kind of get a look at that. This hasn't been smoothed out yet, so this is just from me cutting it, and it leaves it pretty flush, but it's clearly lumpy here. But we'll go ahead and use a Dremel on that, or you could use a carbide bit if you have one to smooth that out. But I'm going to be showing you how to do it on this one. It's unmolested intake port, and we'll get a look and see how this is done. You clamp down your piece completely before you get started, and as well not using a bent blade. As you can see going over here, my first one turned out, minus the yellow from the blade, turned out very well. It won't take too much to clean that up. Second one is not bad. It's a little bit rough on top, but I can either take the Sawzall to that again, or I'll just burr it down, one or the other. And then the last one is kind of like the second one, only it's kind of that on top and bottom. So my blade is getting bent up. I refuse to break another blade or bend it up another blade, so I'll just do it like that. So be prepared. If you gouge the back, you can see I touched back a little bit there. It's going to bend the tip of your blade. That one's more or less a throwaway. I'll keep it for for random projects now, but that's about it. Next step is going to be just to take the cutter and just clean this up, make it smooth. You don't want to make it to the point where it's below the surface of the port itself. You just want to smooth it out. That's it. We're not porting anything. Obviously, these edges will get dealt with later, but for now, just clean up what you've got. We have our bolt boss removed, and we've smoothed out the port. I took some time off camera to smoothen this out and just remove some of the excess material. I did actually take the Sawzall and trim away a bit, and then I also then used the Dremel with a grinder stone on it to finish it off. A carbide bit would be way better, I think, well, at least faster, but the Dremel worked great, and it made sure I didn't gouge into it too far. So this is all you need. You just want it smooth. You don't need to go beyond the surface of the port, or you're going to risk going into water jacket territory, and that'll ruin your head. From there, we're going to be going and putting this mill bit through the top head bolt hole, and we're going to be flattening out this area for the head bolt to sit. You're going to want to make sure that you don't go down beyond the depth of the leading edge of this hole any further, and you're risking again water jacket territory, or just going too far and losing too much material to I guess compromise the integrity of the head. So we're going to go to the shop, and you'll be able to see how that's done. Alright, we're back in my cozy shop here. You can see that we've gone in and milled the bottom of the port down so that the head bolt can sit nice and flat. You should be able to see here that with the head bolt installed, I have to drop it through the top hole. It sits right in the hole still, but the bolt is nice and flat because it's sitting on the area that we milled. Really, the head bolt isn't much bigger than the existing hole, and the space that we've milled is quite a bit larger than the actual head bolt. But that being said, it gives you a bit of room to play if your lining up isn't exactly right. The front of the hole here, or the facing area, is just barely higher than the front lip of the port, which is pretty much exactly what's going to happen when you do this. You can see here that there's not a lot of extra height as far as the head bolt goes. So once you have that done, you can do this in a different order if you wanted to, but I'm going to thread the hole here for the plug. I'm going to use this half-inch pipe tap. Alright, so we got our pipe plug installed. Just keep in mind when you're done, you want to make sure that the bottom of the pipe plug is flush with the inside of the port. I'll be doing the port job later on, so I'll worry about that then. But just keep in mind that you don't want half the plug sticking down and causing you any kind of turbulence issues with the airflow. Beyond that, we're going to be going installing the lumps now. So if you were just wanting to have it so that you had an open port and you didn't want to worry about lumps, you're pretty much done. Your head bolt should sit there. You'll do I think 90 or so foot-pounds of torque on that bolt, and off you go. If you are installing the lump, you can carry on. We're going to be going through that process now. So first of all, we're going to drill a hole through the bottom of the head, coming right out into the port. It's an 11/64 drill bit. 11/64. It pretty much has to be that size for the provided cap screw to go through. So 11/64. Now you want to make sure that it gets positioned between the above the hole, if you're looking at the head in the same position I have it, and you don't want to go out too far outside of either edge of this hole, of the head bolt hole. So I've gone just inside the head bolt hole and a little bit to the side just to provide maximum room. I haven't obviously decked this any material off of the bottom of this head yet, but just keeping in mind that you're going to want it about right where I have it there, which is just above, sorry, I'm trying to give you a better camera angle here, just above the hole and a little bit to the side, pretty much halfway between the top of the hole and the face of the port. and just about right there. So I've just stamped a little notch in it there so that my drill won't walk away on me. And you want to drill a hole just perfectly straight right through so that it comes out in the same spot on in the actual port. All right, holes drilled. So now we've got a hole that goes straight through the bottom of the head right into the port. So now what we want to do is have this cap screw go up in through that hole and into the lump that we're going to put in. The problem is we don't want this head here just be sticking out onto the block. So we have to countersink this hole. To do that, you're going to use a 9/32 drill bit. I had to actually go and buy this specifically because I didn't have anything bigger than a 1/4 inch. Which is sad for me, but at the other end it was only a few bucks. So get yourself 9/32 drill bit, and we're going to go ahead and sink this in just deep enough so that the head of this cap screw, it goes inside the head and is not rubbing against the surface of the block. All right, so we got our hole drilled there for the cap screw head. So you can go ahead and stick it in there, and you'll be able to see as you're going that the head of the screw now sits inside of the port. It doesn't have to be much, just enough so that it's not going to be poking down into the block once it's tight. And now you can see how we're going to use this screw to hold in the lump. So get the lump in the port. The trick is to try to make sure that it goes in the port and it's sitting exactly where you want it to end up. So you're going to have to wedge it in there. I've seen some other videos, and in this case I'm going to use this rounded head plastic screwdriver. It's not going to damage the port when I hold it in there. And I'm just going to hold it in nice and tight into the port so that it doesn't move around. And then I'm going to drill into the lump through the bottom of the head with I'm going to use a 1/8 inch drill bit, a 1/8, so 1/8 of an inch. Reason for that is that technically the tap that we're going to use is for a number 29 drill bit, but I don't have a number 29 drill bit, and I had to special order one if I wanted one, and honestly the 1/8 is the next fractional size smaller. So we're going to go with a 1/8 drill bit. It's going to go up and through into the lump and just go straight through the top of it, and then we're going to tap the hole in the lump for this cap screw. Got the hole now in the lump with a 1/8 inch drill bit. You could use a number 29. That would be fine too. Because this material is so soft, I had no issues tapping this 1/4 or 1/8 inch hole with my number 8 tap, which is what I've got here. Just a regular number 8 tap. It works. It's just a cheapy one, but it works just fine for this project. So we're just going to go ahead and lube this hole up. You want to go in about, once you get it started, about half a turn at a time. Just pull it out or twist it out. Lubricate the hole some more. If you have some cutting compound, great. If you don't, that's fine. Just some lubrication. Just pull it out every half a turn or so. Just flick the gunk out, blow the gunk out, and then just keep going. Alright, so we got the hole tap for the top of the lump, and we can go ahead and insert the cap screw. And you just want to find the hole there. It should be where it naturally wants to go, and then just fasten in the cap screw into our new hole.
make sure it's even as you're going in there. You want to make sure that the lump is sitting properly, especially the first time, because we are going to be flushing out that top screw that's sticking out. Doesn't have to be brutally torqued down, but you do want to make sure that it's nice and taut in the port. Now I'm going to have to do some shaving of the front of these lumps here. They don't quite line up with my ports in some spots. This one's pretty good. This one is sticking out a little bit on one side. I got to make sure that it is in there just nice and straight. And this one here, same idea. It's just a hair over the edge, so I do want to double check that. But in the meantime, as you can see here, I've got this head sticking out, and I need to grind that off. So I'm just going to use the Dremel to do that. So there it is. You can see I've sort of flushed the top of the screw that was sticking out there, and it's still just all the way in now in the bottom of the head. So that's it. That's a lump installed. Obviously there might be some fine tuning to do as far as the edge of this if your ports aren't quite the same. Keep in mind these kits are relatively generic for our engines, so it's quite possible your casting isn't identical in some way. There might be a little notch in here that causes it to sit funny, so you might have to sort of tinker around. But the most part is you don't want it to stick out beyond the face of the port, and you want to make sure that this screw sticking out here isn't going to be another obstruction for air. So we've got that done. Just so you can note here, you can see that the bottom of the pipe plug sticking out here, it's definitely not flush, so that gives you an idea of what has to be done. It's pretty close in the front, but the back of it has got quite a lip, so I'll have to make sure that that is smoothed out before it's all said and done. Beyond that, I'll have to do some porting of the actual insides of the ports at the back there now that that's installed, and I'll have to do a valve, clean the whole thing and do the valve job. I'll be doing some lapping and whatnot, and perhaps I'll make a video of that. Thank you very much for watching Turbo Camaro. You can find more information and videos on the project at turbocamaro.ca. Thank you.